Normally, I would have an opening where I kind of give you my thoughts about what I'm going to react to and give you a little bit of background information. But due to the severity of the crime, of what happened, I figure I'm just going to get straight to the video. So let's do that right now.
Man who claims he's a wizard was just charged with 4 felonies after.
Okay, this is one thing I want to do before anybody ever, before this video even fucking starts. I want to strip the whole illusion of what this guy did, or what he did under the guise of, or whatever, however the fuck you want to say it. I want to remove that whole narrative right now. People, especially social media influencers, you know who the fuck they are because they're the ones covering this. They have been trying to push the yucks, the laughs, make it all just a giant joke about how this guy is, how he looks like a wizard, how he's a Reddit moderator, this, that, and the other, basically. When in reality, it doesn't fucking matter what he was dressed up like. And that's something that these media influencers don't want to talk about, because ultimately at the end of the day, they know if they take a strong hardline tone like I am, they won't get what they want, which is popularity and views and clicks and all that. No, this person is a fucktard who broke into a house. He broke into a house with the intent on doing severe damage to the people who lived in that house. There is nothing funny here, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing funny here at all. It is some weird fucktard, weird idiot who hid behind mental trauma, and that's another thing I just don't give a flying fuck about. That people are trying to claim, oh, he has trauma, he has trauma. It doesn't fucking matter. It just does not matter. If he has mental trauma or not, it does not excuse for what he did on that day. And it sure as hell does not excuse what he did to a little child either. We need to drop this whole narrative. Well, he's having problems, or hey, look, he looks like a wizard or a Reddit mod.
He was caught on a Ring doorbell camera having a delusional crash out and violently trying to break into a stranger's house.
And even if you want to go the whole route of, well, he just has mental problems and he needs a hug and he needs a back rub and a belly pat. If he is so fucking dangerous that he cannot discern the difference between reality and make believe, where the fuck is his parents? Why the fuck is he allowed to roam the streets like this? Why the fuck is he allowed to walk up to somebody's house, do this, and then forcefully enter that house?
What is even going on here? And obviously, this went extremely viral, and the internet took this clip and ran with it and made so many viral memes that I would go as far to say is this is probably one of the most funny viral moments.
And that's what's fucking wrong with society nowadays. They do not look at the seriousness of the crime. They just look at how they can get a few laughs out of it and make some money off of it. I'm wondering if that guy, actually located the residents of that house. If he located that family that was hiding in terror in the garage, and he literally butchered them alive, would you still be willing to be making the comments like, oh, he looks like a Reddit mod, or he looks like a fucking literature character? Or do you think you would actually have your fucking backbone to stand up and say, hey, this was wrong? I highly doubt that.
That we've seen this year. But not only did he try to break in, he actually succeeded when he eventually moved on to a sliding glass door on the side of the house. And he was only finally stopped when the homeowner actually returned home to fight him, armed with a shovel, after witnessing the intruder's meltdown on the Ring.
Me, I would have used something else, but apparently the shovel was all the father could find at the time.
Camera. And while it's obviously easy to laugh at the absurdity of some of the details of this case, like, his outfit or the fact that he identifies himself.
It doesn't fucking matter what he's wearing. It doesn't fucking matter what his mental state is. Like I said, people look at the surface layer of stuff. They don't look at the core. At the core, you have a psychopath who is trying to hurt people. And I'm pretty sure that if you're one of the people who likes to get a laugh out of this, if it was your family and then all of a sudden you started seeing all these fucktards making jokes and memes and all that, you'd probably be like, hey, that was my family that was just killed. Can you please show some mercy?
Himself as Harry Dresden, you know, the whole time throughout the encounter. And if you didn't know, he's a fictional private investigator and wizard from a series of contemporary fantasy / mystery novels called The Dresden Files. But unfortunately, I mean, the reality of this case is kind of horrifying, because now, in addition to being charged with burglary, assault with a deadly weapon, vandalism, and making criminal threats, the subject of today's video, 30-year-old Jason Thomas Nichols, is facing a 5th charge of annoying or inappropriately touching a child under.
Now, you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means. I refuse to believe that the people who is watching this video, they're so fucking stupid that they do not understand what it is that this additional charge entails.
Abby Newton said she's concerned, especially after police on Monday said Nichols is under investigation for allegedly annoying a child unrelated to the home invasion 2 days before that incident.
18, which allegedly stemmed from an earlier incident. So essentially, the dude did a way better job at catching himself than Vitaly ever could. Because I guess the Ring camera incident just put a whole lot of attention on that.
Information in a frightening incident caught on video in which a stranger demanded to be let inside of a home in Fairfield and then broke in. That man made his first court appearance today, and our crime reporter Henry Lee joins us live now from Solano County with more. Henry?
Well, Claudine, we learned that the defendant actually lives behind the family that was targeted, but a motive still isn't known. But bottom line, a prosecutor said in court today that this suspect, a stranger to the family, has, quote, a lot of issues. 29-year-old Jason Nichols made his first court appearance Monday on charges he invaded a home in Fairfield and terrorized a family. He did not enter a plea and appeared calm, just like he was when he first showed up at the home near Burbank Drive on April 7th, as seen on viral videos posted online. The homeowner, who had left the house minutes earlier, doesn't know him and speaks to him through a Ring camera.
Hi there, can you open this door, please?
For what?
I just want to make sure that everything's okay. There seems to be something going on.
What do you mean?
I don't know, I just figured I'd check on something.
I don't know what you want, man. Get out of my house.
Open this fucking door.
The interaction soon becomes even more concerning.
Where's your daughter,
What are
man?
you talking about?
Where's your daughter? Who's in there with you?
The stranger's wearing a black trench coat and at one point identifies himself as a fictional wizard and private investigator from an urban fantasy series.
My name is Harry Dresden, motherfucker. Open the door. This is my neighborhood.
The resident repeatedly asks him to leave. The man again demands entry with a threat.
No, or I will fucking end you. Do you understand me?
And then this happens. He continues yelling at the top of his lungs and, according to authorities, eventually ends up inside the home after breaking a gate and opening a sliding door. The homeowner's pregnant wife and 5-year-old child are terrified and hide in the garage. The homeowner, meanwhile, rushed back home and confronted the suspect with a shovel. The suspect ended up grabbing the shovel from the resident, and both ended up getting hit in the head with it. Fairfield police arrested Nichols at the scene. He lives behind the family's home, but a motive is not known.
So you have Fairfield police, I guess, saying additional charge came after a witness reported an encounter between Nichols and their child on April 5th. And this obviously...
Okay, so a lot of people are claiming that, that during this time that when he broke into this house, at that moment, he had a psychological break. That this psychological break happened when he was screaming like a fucking lunatic into that Ring doorbell. If he was having a psychological break exactly at that time, how do you explain the fact that he was being a predator to a child? Or are we so just going to make jokes? This is one of the reasons why I am a firm, supporter of the most stringent maximum punishment possible when it comes to predators.
Ended up raising that bail dramatically from what was initially set at like $35,000 to the new bail amount of $250,000.
He shouldn't be allowed bail at all. The moment that him attempting to inflict up to the point of ending a person's life, and then along with being a predator of children, once those were brought to light, no fucking bail, no bail. In fact, he should be under armed guard in some fucking deepest, darkest cell of a jail until his court date. Bail shouldn't even be fucking like acknowledged at all.
And then you even have Deputy District Attorney Stephen Talley arguing for a higher bail, citing the alleged threats and Nichols in proximity to the victims, which makes total sense because
victims and children.
Yeah, apparently Nichols lives right behind the very house he broke into while screaming threats. So obviously, he shouldn't be allowed to just return to the victim's neighborhood so he could just start trying to attack them all over again. But what he said was both terrifying and hilarious because the entire time he was freaking out and demanding.
It's not fucking hilarious. This is what I'm talking about. Oh, it's hilarious. It's this. He thinks he's some form of superhero. Like I said, if this happened to your family, I'm pretty sure you'd be dropping that fucking narrative like that. It's time we as a society start calling out people who act like this. It doesn't fucking matter what your excuse is. Just because you have some sort of mental issue, if this guy even did, I highly doubt it. But if you have some sort of mental issue, it does not absolve you of your bad actions. Well, Jeff, he may not be able to defend himself in court. Fine. Keep him in a sanitarium until the doctors deem him as being able to sufficiently defend himself in court. Then, the minute he gets in court, sentence him to the strongest maximum possible punishment. Nothing more, nothing less. People like this guy here needs to be made an example out of. We, as a society, have got to the point where we feel that we have to, understand and give comfort to criminals, while we leave the victims alone to drift in the wind, basically. At times, it literally feels like we care more about the criminals than we do the victims.
The entry to the property, he was, like I mentioned earlier, referring to himself as the private investigator / wizard and wearing a Demon Slayer t-shirt under a trench coat. Like, come on.
I don't know who you are. You don't belong in this neighborhood. That's for sure.
This is my neighborhood, though.
Yeah, I live there. I don't know you.
My name is Harry Dresden. Open the door. This is my...
Seriously, how did this fucktard get out of his house? If he is truly some sort of mentally disturbed figure, why is he not under observation? Why is he not in a group home where the doors are constantly fucking locked and there are bars on the window? Well, the answer is pretty simple, I guess. It's California. It's fucking California. California is a known cesspool.
My neighborhood. Open the door.
I mean, it's easy to laugh at the guy in this situation, but also I can understand why anyone would be terrified. And I mean, the victim is honestly lucky that this happened in California, not somewhere like Florida or Texas, because
they know how to deal with idiots like this. They know how to deal with somebody like this. In Texas and Florida, you break into somebody's house, you have a 99.9% chance of literally getting ventilated. But because this is California, the tree-hugging capital of the fucking world, we have to understand the criminal more than the fucking victims.
He might have not left that property alive. But essentially what happened was on April 7th, Jason Nichols storms up to a home on the 1700th block of Burbank Court and knocks on the door. The homeowner was not home and starts talking to him via a Ring camera and can literally only say hello before Nichols begins demanding that he opens the door so he can make sure that everything's okay.
Hello?
Hi there, can you open this door, please?
For what?
I just want to make sure that everything's okay. There seems to be something going on.
What do you mean?
I don't know, I just figured I'd check on something.
That alone would piss me off because, like, who are you? How dare you insinuate that you would know best and that you need to gain access to my home? Like, what do you...
The moment that he started talking about this guy's daughter, to me, that would be like the final, like, line in the sand.
you on about? And to make things worse, apparently his pregnant wife and child were inside. And of course, when Nichols is denied immediate entry to the home with no questions asked, he begins to freak out and kick the door so hard with his flip-flops that the recoil sends him flying back down the stairs.
Man, get out of my house.
Open this door. Where's your daughter, man?
Right there, that would be like, to me, I would view that as a fucking threat. This is why I said before when I covered this video, I'll put the, the links up there. That's why I said in those videos that if I had a child, that child would be trained to properly and safely use firearms. That way, if a fucktard like this guy broke into my home and my child and wife were literally backs against the wall in a room that cannot escape, they would have at least a fighting chance to survive.
Where's your daughter,
What are
man?
you talking about?
Where's your daughter? Who's in there with you?
Bro, if you don't...
Door. Open this door, I'm breaking it down. You understand me?
I mean, this is straight out of a cartoon. What in the Looney Tunes is going on here? But as soon as this random guy starts questioning about a daughter without really knowing whether or not the homeowner even had a daughter, that's when alarm bells should be going off in your head, which I'm sure they were for the homeowner at that point. But clearly, this person isn't in...
But yeah, so 99% of the fucktards on YouTube are, like I said before, they're just going to make jokes. And even to a certain point, this guy here, he's also fucking making jokes, talking about the guy's appearance. When, like I said before, that really has nothing to do with the fucking issue at hand. But we all got to make that sweet YouTube money, don't we?
in the right mind, so he will likely do things a very regular angry person wouldn't. But obviously, his freakout was just so irrational and honestly funny that it just spawned so many memes of him online. Now, I mean, okay, but it's not totally clear if Nichols knew who was exactly inside this house or if he was just LARPing with his own, I don't know.
It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. The guy he broke in. The guy broke into a house. That's all there is that is really needed to know. Everything besides that fact and the fact that he wanted to terminate people, everything else is basically fucking noise, surface level noise. And like I said, that's the issue we have with society nowadays. They tend to go for the comedic, compliment of whatever they see. I'm wondering if somehow there was a security cam in this house and that security camera literally caught this guy killing that family, would you still have social media influencers on YouTube going, oh my God, look at the way he's just hacking away at them. Woo boy, he's really putting his effort into that. Oh my God, we can make some memes out of that. There are times I swear that the internet is a curse.
He was just doing investigative work as the investigative wizard over here. But regardless, I mean, while the homeowner is arguing with Nichols over leaving the property, he doesn't know who he is, which leads Nichols to stating that his name is Harry Dresden.
Yeah, I live there. I don't know you.
My name is Harry Dresden. Open the door. This is my neighborhood.
And again, you probably wouldn't immediately recognize that name. I didn't. I had to Google it. But again, Harry Dresden is a fictional private investigator and wizard who works to protect the general public. So I guess this guy thinks he's a heroic wizard from a book series and has started doing house calls in his neighborhood. And I guess when he finally gains access to the house via a sliding glass.
And here's what the saddest fucking fact is. Here's what the saddest fucking fact is. I will call this, I'll make you a bet that this is what would happen. Let's say that, this fucktard and his family, they moved to somewhere else. Let's say they moved to Texas. Where this idiot still hasn't received the help that he needs, apparently. And now he thinks, not only does he think he's Harry Dresden, he thinks he's Professor Charles Xavier, and he goes to break into another house. Well, this time he breaks into a house and he's met with a goddamn shotgun. The homeowner decides to defend himself, rightfully so. I will make you a bet that this fucktard who ended up getting unalived because of his piss poor actions, his family most likely sue the person for defending himself. Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong.
Door after his initial crash out, he's then pacing around inside looking for a victor.
Where is she? Huh? Victor, you around? Huh? You like raping little girls?
And I guess we kind of have to assume that he's referring to Victor Sells, who's a human sorcerer and antagonist in one of the Dresden Files books called Stormfront, who Dresden confronts at his house, who did in fact have a daughter as well. So I mean, all of this is just so many layers of bizarre. I don't even know where to start. But I guess it all starts to make sense when you connect all those dots, but it doesn't make it any less freaky. I mean, the entire time, the homeowner is, like I said, away from home, but he very quickly turned back and was heading home after he witnessed the disgruntled wizard demanding entry to his house. Because again, remember, the homeowner's wife and child were still in the home and probably scared to death by this guy, pounding on the door and wildly screaming while threatening.
I honestly have to wonder, since this is California, which nobody should be allowed to live in, I can't help but wonder when this all, settles and the dust is gone and everything. I'm wondering how many people will actually attack the family going, you know what, you should show him mercy. He has psychological issues. He doesn't know any better. Really?
To kill whoever he thinks he's looking for. I mean, this is crazy. And again, to make things even worse, he actually got inside of the house. So the homeowner ends up returning to the home and gets into an altercation with Nichols and even arms himself with a shovel at one point to protect his family.
Get the out of my third room, bro. Walk the out. What's the third room? Walk the out. I'm telling you, I'm giving you a chance right now, man. What's the third room? I'm giving you a chance. Get the out of my house. What's the third room? I don't know who you are. You better get the street at 1797 Colop Drive. I don't know who you're talking about, man. Why do I hear screaming? Are you military? Yes. Okay. Can you help?
He's not military. I refuse to believe that a fucking nut job like this would be accepted into the military. No, what this is a guy who knows what he was doing. He knows what he was doing. He thought he was going to come into a house where he could possibly overpower everybody, do imminent harm to them, and then when somebody actually came up that could handle himself better than him, he then decided to flip. Oh, I'm a soldier. Oh yes, I'm a soldier. Oh yeah. That's what I'll do next. Yeah. Yes, sir. He's not in the fucking armed services. He's not.
Help me out, okay?
Yes.
I understand what you're going through right now.
Yes.
Can you step outside?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Will. Thank you for asking. There's something going on this street, bro.
Bro, everything's fine. Please step outside.
Okay.
Well, sit there. Sit on the ground, please.
Yes, sir.
And this altercation leads both men to require medical attention for head injuries sustained during the fight. But luckily, no one is seriously injured. And I guess the fight is instantly de-escalated when the homeowner asks Nichols if he's a veteran, and he answers yes, and for some reason instantly relaxes.
It's a cop-out. It's a fucking cop-out.
And agrees to go outside. And that's when the story gets even weirder, considering the fact that this guy isn't a veteran. So I guess he just lied to the homeowner.
Gee whiz! A fucking criminal lying. A fucking criminal lying to get away from being, from punishment. Who would have fucking thought? I thought criminals were such an honorable bunch that they would follow the rule to the law. Who would have fucking thought that a criminal would lie? I'm just totally blown. My day is ruined. I have to now go to bed tonight with the knowledge that criminals actually lie. I didn't know this. I didn't know this at all. Did you? Because I sure as hell didn't.
Hey, are you a veteran? Was like his wake up call suddenly. He was like, oh wait, what am I doing? This isn't the sorcerer I'm supposed to have a boss battle with. It just doesn't make sense. I feel like
it doesn't make sense because he's not in armed service. It's a fucking it's a smoke screen.
The more information about this case that comes out, the more bizarre it gets. But obviously, cops arrive shortly after and arrest Nichols and charge him with 4 felonies and give him the original $35,000 bail. And then, about a week later in court, the whole case gets escalated with a new 5th charge being tacked on. And, that's the one that spikes everything to $250,000. And
oh, you mean when he attempted to touch, or he did touch, a child? But then again, like I said before, California. By the way, to those who are curious, here is the information from I think it's the sheriff's. Basically, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. You can find this online. I am not afraid to show this information. I did censor some of the information. That way, it will be basically doesn't get me in trouble. So, but yeah, here is the information. As you can see here, this was before the whole issue with the child even arose. He was basically, he had 4 charges. He now has 5. And what you don't see, let me move my camera real quick. Bail is set at $250,000. This is why I say that, what he did was premeditated. This was not a sudden break in sanity. He knew what he was fucking doing. It's just that he didn't realize that he'd be breaking into a house where somebody would show up and defend themselves. This guy is a predator. He is a predator, and he needs to face the fullest extent under the law that will fit that crime.
Now, I mean, because of all this now, the dude is facing 19 years in prison.
It should be life. It should be life. If you are not willing to go the full distance and deal with somebody like this, then it needs to be life. It needs to be life. People like this need to be made an example out of, ladies and gentlemen. That way, it prevents any sort of fucking copycats down the road. Because let's just say this guy ends up actually getting 19 years. He gets 19 years. What's there to say that some other copycat go, hey, I could be like Carnage. I could act like I'm Carnage from Spider-Man. And you know what Carnage was responsible for doing? He was responsible for killing a shit ton of people. That's his fucking name, Carnage. They'll be like, hey, Carnage can do it, so can I. And because this fucktard only got 19 years in prison, let's just, for example, it gives everybody else an idea, hey, I can kill a lot of people, claim insanity. I can say I was a symbiote from the Spider-Man comics, and they'll give me like 2 years. No, people like this guy needs to be made an example out of.
Wow. It's safe to say this case took a dark turn. Thankfully, we never actually have to find out what he would have done because he was stopped. And now it's up to the justice system.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what would happen if he actually found that family that was hiding in that house. I don't even have to fucking say it. You already know what I'm thinking. And trust me, he wouldn't be there to give them flowers either.
To do its thing and hopefully lock him up for a little while. But his new court appearance is scheduled for April 23rd, so I'll definitely keep an eye out for what happens and make sure to keep you guys updated. But if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop
Okay, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of sad that this is how far society has de-evolved in 26 years. When somebody used to break into another person's house with threat of imminent violence or unaliving people, to put it safely, we used to be a society that's like, yeah, throw the book at the motherfucker, make an example out of him. But nowadays, we have something like this, and it's more, the reaction is more, how can we get some laughs out of it? Like I said, these same fuckers who say, let's get a few laughs out of it, they would be the first ones screaming from the rooftops that their family was murdered. Where is their justice? But because it didn't happen to them, then it's all a joke.